Right, grade 12, we are continuing with the state of the environment. In this lesson, we are going to look at erosion, deforestation, and desertification. All right, none of this are essay questions. I will specify when we get to the essay questions. Okay, this is on page 130 in the textbook, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, in the previous lesson, we did speak a little bit about erosion. Okay, there is your official definition of erosion, so you can highlight it in your textbook. Okay, it is the process by which soil and rock is removed from the surface of the earth and then transported away and deposited elsewhere. Okay, now what causes erosion? Okay, the first one, the one that we referred to in the previous lesson, is natural processes. Okay, it happens as a result of a natural process. Okay, for example, the movement of the wind or the flow of water. Okay, we said if there's a flood, for example, if it rains really, really hard and the power of the water sweeps the top layer of the soil away, that gets taken into the rivers runs into the sea. So the top layer of soil basically is removed from where it naturally occurs and it ends up being deposited in the sea. Okay, so that is when the flow of water washes away the soil, the top layer of the soil, and then it's deposited elsewhere. It can also happen as a result of wind. Okay, when the wind blows, obviously on a windy day, you can see the dust in the air. Yeah? If the wind is blowing really hard, it picks up the top layers of soil and it blows it away and it puts it down wherever it puts it down. All right. It can also be as a result of human activities. All right. And here it is going to be, for example, such as poor farming methods. Okay. Now remember, we said that soil erosion happens because the soil is not protected. Okay. If grass is planted on the soil, the water can come, the wind can come. Because the grass is on top of the soil, the roots of the grass is holding the soil in place. It cannot be blown away and it cannot be washed away by the wind. But the minute that we pull out the grass, we take the grass away, we take the plant life away, we take the trees away, then the soil is open. There's nothing protecting that soil anymore. And then if the wind blows, if the water comes, then it can take away that top layer of soil. Now, when there's poor farming methods, like, for example, overgrazing, okay, this is when a farmer has too large an amount of cattle on too small a piece of land, okay? Obviously, they put the cattle on the land because there's grass, so the cattle will now eat the grass. But if you have too many cattle on a piece of grass, on a piece of land, where they're now eating the grass, they're walking all over the grass, they're basically trampling on the grass and eating it as they go. So if there's too many of them, obviously they're going to finish eating the grass. All the grass is going to be destroyed, now either trampled or eaten, and then the soil is going to be exposed. All right. And as soon as that happens, if the wind blows or the water comes, then obviously the layer of soil is going to be removed. All right. So it can be just a natural process. With the wind blowing is a natural thing. When it rains, it's a natural thing. Or it can be of human error, where we have poor farming methods like overgrazing. All right. Now, it is estimated that South Africa loses about 500 metric tons of topsoil every year as a result of water and wind erosion. That is a lot. Okay. That is a lot of topsoil that is fertile that is now lost, that we cannot make use of because it's no longer there. What is deforestation? These three terms here, you must basically know what they are. You must understand what it is, what its effects are. You must be able to define and explain what is meant by erosion, deforestation, and desertification. Okay, look at your exam guideline. Okay, deforestation is the process whereby trees and forests are removed from the land and not replaced. There's your definition. Okay, so when we chop down the trees, we chop down the forests because we want to make more paper, whatever the case may be, and we do not plant new trees in the place of the old ones that we've chopped down, that is deforestation. We're reducing the amount of trees and forests that is growing on the land. So we are removing them for whatever purpose, and we are not replacing them. If we are replacing them, if we're planting new ones, it is not deforestation. Okay. And then as I explained, when we do this, when we chop down the trees, we remove them, we don't replace them, the land is no longer covered by the trees, And obviously this puts the land at risk of soil erosion. It's no longer protected by the trees there, so the ecosystem can potentially be destroyed. Desertification is the process whereby grasslands are converted into deserts where very little will grow. There's your definition. You can highlight in your textbook. Okay. So where the soil is covered by grasslands, for whatever reason, the grasslands are destroyed and then the grass dies. And then obviously there's nothing covering the soil anymore now. The sand is exposed. It's created a desert. The soil is dead. Nothing ever grows in that soil. Okay, what causes desertification? Global warming, droughts. All right, if it doesn't rain, the grass isn't going to grow. Now, any plant needs water in order to grow and survive. So when there's a severe drought, the grasslands will die off, which will obviously leave the soil exposed. All right. Through global warming, remember global warming causes climate change, where the patterns are changing. We are experiencing more severe droughts. We are experiencing more flooding. All right. Can also be as a result of overgrazing, poor farming methods. Obviously, we send the animals into the grasslands. There's too many animals on the grassland. They eat all the grass, no more grass to replace it, and the soil becomes exposed. All right. So all of this is going to cause desertification, global warming and climate change, which causes droughts and floods and whatever. And then human actions like overgrazing, having too many animals on a piece of soil, poor farming methods, stripping the vegetation for firewood, where people like pick clear all the vegetation on the land, which then obviously leaves the soil exposed. All right. Now, the degradation of the land obviously disrupts normal agricultural activities. So when the soil dies like this, okay, we said desertification, it means that very little is going to grow in that soil. The soil is basically dead, whether it's erosion, whether it's desertification. When that soil dies, obviously no normal agricultural activities can continue in the soil. We can't plant grass for the animals to graze on. We can't plant crops. Nothing is going to grow in that soil. And that obviously threatens our food security. Okay, if we have less land available for agricultural activities, that means that we are able to produce less food. All right, and that threatens the country's food security. Okay, what is food security? This is your definition. You can highlight in your textbook. Food security is the term that we use to describe a situation when all people at all times have access to enough nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. So we are able, in other words, to produce enough food for everybody in the country to have access to the food and live a healthy, happy life. If we are disrupting food security, it means that we are unable to produce enough nutritious food to supply the needs of the people in the country. Right. Obviously, food nutrition or food security is very, very important. It's a basic thing. Everybody has to have food to eat to sustain their lives. Right. So food security for any government, food security is a necessity. Right. It is very important that we have food security in a country, because obviously we do not want like peace, social security and stuff to be threatened by non-availability of food. All right. So obviously food security is something that the governments will aim for. They always try to make sure that they can cultivate enough food to satisfy the most basic need of all of the people in the country.